If you're a home buyer in this market, it's a little bit tough out there between higher home prices, higher homeowners insurance, and higher interest rates. Things have gotten a bit unaffordable and a lot of people have been priced out of the market. But a question I get asked fairly often is now a good time to buy a house? Now, it's not my place to say whether it's a good time for you to buy a house right now or not, but in this video, we're gonna talk about some of the pros and cons of buying a house in this market. So stick around because we're getting after it right now. Hey guys, Sean Ramos here and welcome to the channel. This is Living in Louisiana, where we're talking everything that you need to know when it comes to what it's like moving to or living in Louisiana. So if that's what you're looking for, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. And I am a licensed realtor in the state of Louisiana, so that means as much as I do love making these videos for you guys, what I really love is to help you with your real estate needs. So that number that's popping up on your screen right now, that's the best way you can reach me. And I am the guy that answers every single call, text, or email that comes through, and I love hearing from you guys. So if there's anything at all I can do, if you have any questions about making the move to Louisiana, don't hesitate to reach out. So is it a good time to buy a house right now? Let's talk about it. Now, the answer is going to be different for everybody. So we're going to talk about some pros, we're going to talk about some cons, and then you can take that information and use it to help you make the decision that's best for you. Just make sure you don't forget that when you do decide that it's time for you to make that move, I'm the guy you call. So we're going to start with the cons because I like to get the negative out of the way first. And con number one is that we're dealing with higher prices. So right now, prices are higher than they've ever been. Now, we generally have a lower cost of living, which includes housing here in the Greater Baton Rouge area when you compare to some bigger markets, but compared to our prices pre-COVID, you know, prices have gone through the roof here. Let me get this graphic up so I can show you what the average home price is right now in the Greater Baton Rouge market compared to what it was pre-COVID in 2019. All right, let's jump into InfoSparks and take a look at the data. So we're gonna look at the average home price. I'm gonna run this on the 10-year graph. So we've got Greater Baton Rouge market. We're looking at all price ranges, all property types. So August 2023, we're just under $290,000 for our average sale price. Now if we go back to August 2019, we were at $237,339. So you can see there's been a significant increase in prices kind of pre-COVID till now. And everything that I've been reading says that prices are expected to just continually rise nationally. Now, I can give you a really good example of how prices went up between 2019 and now. My previous house that we sold to build this one that I'm in right now, you know, we bought that house in 2020 and we bought it for $285,000. And when we decided to build, we put that house up for sale in 2022 and we sold it for $370,000. So we were in that house just over 2 years. Now, if I help you buy a house and then 2 years later you call me back because you need to sell it, typically there's no equity there. And for me to list the house and sell it for you, by the time you pay all the fees and closing costs and everything you have to pay, you may very well be writing a check to sell that house just 2 years later. But because in my case, I was lucky enough to have home prices just shoot up in that 2-year period, we were able to make $85,000. And we did do a few improvements to the house while we lived there, but nothing close to $85,000. That was just the luck of the market rising. Had I waited to sell my house a little bit longer, could I have gotten more? Maybe so. A house almost directly across the street from me that was the same exact floor plan I saw not too long after I sold my house, they listed theirs for $402,000. Now, it still hadn't sold and I don't know what it's gonna sell for, but it looks like it's gonna sell for more than I sold mine. Let's move on to con number two, interest rates. In early 2022, the interest rates started rising, and since then they've more than doubled. And again, I can give you a really good example on this from my personal experience. The interest rate that I had on my last house was 2.875%. And about the time we decided to build this house is when the interest rates just started going up. And what we decided to do with this house was a single closed loan. Instead of doing a regular construction loan where you get that, and then once the house is built, you have to get a whole new mortgage. We did the single closed loan where everything's done in the beginning. And the way that works is they set you up to have interest-only payments at a builder's rate during construction. And the builder's rate is as high as your interest rate can go. But if regular mortgage interest rates are lower when your construction's complete, for your forever mortgage, they give you the lower rate. Well, in my case, rates weren't getting any lower. Interest rates at the time were in the 4s, and my builder's rate was 5.125%. And I remember being so mad that I was going from 2.875% to 5.125%, and I was fuming over this for months. But looking back on it now, when I have clients getting approved at 7, 7.5, 7.75%, that 5.125 is looking a lot better. And just for fun, let's jump back in the computer and let's just look at the difference in monthly payment from back when I bought my house to what it would be if I were to buy the same house at current prices right now. Okay, so when I bought my house and when I sold it, it was both with an FHA mortgage. So let's look at an FHA mortgage calculator to see what those payments would look like. All right, so the purchase price when I bought my house was about $285,000. With an FHA loan, we put 3.5% down, and my interest rate was 2.875%. And my property taxes were about $3,400 a year, and homeowners insurance was actually for that new construction was about $1,200 a year. So that puts us at a payment of $1,669 per month, which is pretty close to what I was actually paying. Now let's rerun the numbers with what I sold my house for at today's interest rates to see what the difference is. So my buyer bought the house at $370,000, same 3.5% down payment. But if you were to do it today with these interest rates, you'd be paying 7.5% most likely. I believe the property tax is the same. I'm sure they're similar. And homeowners insurance, I know just in this house I'm in, I told the story before, but we originally got quoted $1,200 a year for new construction. It went up to $1,700 a year by the time we actually got the house built because of the homeowners insurance situation in Louisiana right now. So let's change that to $1,700. So now you're looking at a payment of $3,128, and that's a pretty significant difference. So you can see why it's so hard on home buyers right now, and especially first-time home buyers. From what I've read, this is the most unaffordable time to buy a house in the past 40 years. But the good news is some of the builders are doing things to ease up some of that pain from interest rates. And there are a lot of neighborhoods here where they're able to offer rates as low as 5.99%, 5.5%, plus all kind of other incentives to help buyers out. Con number 3, low inventory. So right now, the inventory in the Greater Baton Rouge area is 50% lower than it was just 10 years ago. And a senior economist at Zillow says that our country needs 4.3 million more homes to solve the inventory issues. New construction inventory is still being cranked out here. Those houses are being built and they're being sold. But we're not seeing many existing homes hit the market. And why is that? I think it's because a lot of people are not willing to do what I did. People don't want to trade in their 3% or lower interest rates for a 7% or higher interest rate. These higher interest rates are causing people to stay in their homes because it just doesn't make sense financially to try to move up in house. All right, now that all the negative stuff is out the way, let's get into the pros. Pro number 1 is that prices are as low right now as they're going to be. You may have seen the Dave Ramsey video floating around the internet right now where he says that
right now is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. Right now. And here's why. Okay? Prices are not going to go down. Some of you are saying, well, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. you're not going to get them.
Yeah.
They're not coming down.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to go up slower, but they're not going to go down. They may not go up hardly at all, but they're not going to go down. And so 5 years from today, houses are going to be more expensive. This is as cheap as it's going to be in the next 5 years. So this is the best price right now if you're going to buy a house.
And in an interview with Barbara Corcoran, she says that she expects home prices to go through the roof. She says we're at a bottleneck right now, but when the rates do eventually drop, that we're gonna see activity go crazy, and then we're gonna see prices skyrocket. So let's just talk about what happens if you decide that now is the time to buy because you wanna get in before prices go up anymore. If you were to buy right now and the interest rates go down eventually, then you just refinance and you can get a lower payment. And if rates go up, then you're gonna be glad you bought before prices went up and the interest rates went up, making it completely unaffordable. And if rates stay the same, then no harm, no foul. Just make sure that you buy a house now that you'll be okay making the payment throughout the course of your mortgage at the current interest rates. Pro number 2, there's less competition. Because of all the cons that we talked about, less people can afford to be out buying houses right now, so there's just less competition. So for the most part, you can shop around and make up your mind. You don't have to decide right there on the spot like you did when everything was so super competitive. I think in 2020 and 2021, a lot of people bought a house just because it was the one they could get, not necessarily that it was the house they loved. Having time to shop is not necessarily the case in every situation. A home that's priced correctly and that's in a desirable area may still go really fast and have multiple offers. And it's not even always just the brand new listings. I have some clients that I'm working with right now, and one of the first houses we looked at had been on the market for 100 days. Because it'd been sitting there so long that we decided that we were gonna try to get a little bit of a deal on it. But of course, about the time that we decided to make our offer, some other buyers were also making an offer, and the listing agent didn't notify us that there was another offer on the table. So after this house had been sitting for 100 days with no activity, we decided to make an offer, and another buyer comes along. We're in a multiple offer situation that we didn't even know about, and my clients lost out on the house. So while you do have a little more wiggle room and negotiating power now compared to when you did during those really super competitive times, it's just something to keep in mind that while there is less competition, there may still be some competition. Pro number 3, there's more room for negotiation. Now, in that super competitive market, buyers were having to make concessions, but not so much anymore. Some buyers were waiving their inspections, or either they would agree that they were going to do an inspection, but it was just for their information only, and they weren't going to ask for any repairs. Some buyers were waiving their appraisal contingencies, or offering appraisal gaps so that if the appraisal came in lower than the purchase price, the buyer would come up with a difference out of pocket. And sometimes they were offering escalation clauses, which meant you made an offer at a certain purchase price, but in the event that the listing agent can show you that they received another offer, you were pre-agreeing to increasing your offer to beat the other one up to a certain amount. I think we're at more of a middle ground now. Pre-COVID, when the market was just normal, I was telling just about every buyer that I worked with that we can probably get your purchase price reduced. We can probably get the seller to pay for most or all of your closing costs. We could have the seller provide you a home warranty, and we could ask them to provide a wood destroying insect report so that you know there are no termites in the house. Even though there's less competition, I haven't seen that we can really go all out like we were before. There may be a little bit of wiggle room in the purchase price, especially if the house has been sitting for a little bit, and we may be able to get some concessions from the seller to help you with your closing costs, or maybe buy your interest rate down, maybe do something like a 2-1 buy down. So I have a client who was watching videos on this YouTube channel and reached out because he was relocating to Louisiana, and we just got him under contract for some new construction in Watson. Now, the builder was offering $4,000 towards the buyer's closing costs if you use their preferred lender. But because they want to get the house sold, we were able to negotiate with them to actually up that to $8,000 towards closing instead. So pretty much all of his closing costs will be covered. So despite higher prices and higher interest rates, it is a good time to buy for buyers who want to be able to wheel and deal a little bit. So hopefully that was helpful if you're trying to decide if you want to buy a house in this market. I'll never try to talk you into buying one, but if you do just want to have a conversation, 100% no pressure, that number that's popping up on your screen right now is the best way that you can reach out to me. I make these videos because I want to be a resource for you for anything real estate related. So if you have any specific questions or needs when it comes to making the move to Louisiana, don't hesitate to reach out. If there's anything at all I can help you with, just give me a call, shoot me a text or an email, and let's just get the conversation started. It's never too early. And don't forget, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell, because every week I'm putting out brand new videos just like this one, and I want to make sure that you get notified every time a new one comes out. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next video.